Bienvenue dans cette 11e VOD sur Disco Elysium. On va s'aventurer dans la zone commerciale maudite, puisque nous sommes désormais un paradétective.
Set of tattered curtains blocking the way to another room. A strange cage-like trinket dangles from the curtains.
J'ouvre les rideaux.
You see a dimly lit room full of dusty furniture and trash. A doorway stands in the back, covered in dozens of scary little Seminese wards, your shadow looming over it like an omen.
Il va nous falloir la lampe torche, non? Plaisance laisse échapper un petit haut de terreur, s'efforçant de regarder ailleurs, son visage cramoisi caché au creux de ses mains. Ah non, ça s'allume tout seul. Des silhouettes fantomatiques de sèche-cheveux. Le portrait d'un homme vaguement androgyne.
A heavy door with a missing handle stands before you, covered in dozens, if not hundreds, of Seminese trinkets and charms. It appears to be locked.
Je déverrouille la porte à l'aide de la clé.
After exerting some force, you manage to turn the key. It's eerily silent. The door slides slightly open, letting a draft of cold air into the room.
J'ouvre la porte et j'entre. J'ai pas peur de la mort. Faut peut-être que je fasse un quick save quand même. Hop. Petite salle de muscu ici. Du sable s'écoule d'un punching ball. Sur la fiche il est écrit Situs Fortis, le reste est effacé. Un accessoire de lancer de poids.
A barbell lies on the floor. The color has worn off its weight plates. It's 60 kilograms. Your triceps hum at the sight of these weights. Show the world what kind of beast it's dealing with.
Je vais me péter un bras.
There are no collars on the barbell. This is a safety hazard. Why does it feel so familiar?
C'est peut-être parce que je suis un haltérophile. Regardez Kim, c'est un piège, il n'y a aucune pince sur l'haltère.
You're right. The weight may fall off. Better not touch it then.
Qui est assez tordu pour enlever les pinces d'un haltère? Ce salopard mérite de finir au trou.
It would be a violation of EPIS safety regulations if the gym was still operating, but it isn't. No one's supposed to come here anymore.
Je suis toujours à 3%, non ça sert à rien. Je suis pas du type musculeux moi. Des espaliers usés, de quoi vous rompre le cou. C'est pas important. Le passage est bloqué par de vieilles vitres et des débris. Ah mais c'est bloqué partout. Il n'y a rien dans cet endroit. Ok. Il y a quelque chose qui nous échappe. Qu'est-ce que j'ai récupéré comme objet? L'accessoire de lancer de poids. Kim, t'as pas une idée là?
It's dark.
Le lieutenant prononce une évidence.
This would be a lot
Eh bah oui,
easier with a flashlight.
j'y avais pensé.
I've got one in the kinema's toolbox. We should go back for it before we continue. No sense in tripping around in the darkness.
Allons chercher la lampe électrique. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Il veut me parler encore?
Yes?
Non. Très bien. Est-ce qu'on prendrait pas aussi le pied de biche, comme ça on évite de faire des allers-retours stupides à chaque fois?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox,
La
a metallic
boîte,
drawer.
je sens la lampe
It's
électrique.
robust, weatherproof, and well-made. Police issue, blue. Lets you see things in the dark you would otherwise miss.
Et je prends le pied de biche à bout rouge.
The pry bar feels nice and cold in your hand, heavier than you'd think. Useful for opening all sorts of doors and lids. The pull-out tool.
Très bien. Retournons-y. Et donc là... Hop. Ah, et ça répond à ma souris. Ah, c'est cool ça. Des animaux sauvages empaillés et accrochés au mur vous observent dans l'obscurité. Une grosse dame jeune remplie d'un étrange liquide. Je ne connaissais pas cette appellation. Des rotors de dirigeables recouverts de toile d'araignée, on dirait des pales. Un torse de mannequin nu, d'une étrange couleur jaunâtre. Oula, c'est bien glauque ça. Qui c'est qui installe des plans ici? Du velours bleu, doux au toucher, rongé au mythe. Est-ce qu'on serait pas dans la planque de la 3e mercenaire là? Ce serait elle l'entité? Des skis avec la marque sillage imprimée sur la couche supérieure en bois. Des pales de rotor en acier portant le logo sillage. Les mémoires filamentaires, planning de production. Faudrait que je passe un jour au prêteur sur gage parce que j'ai plein de trucs qui volent de la thune. Et j'ai besoin de thune. Même si là ça commence à être un peu mieux niveau finance. Il y a quoi ici? Un escalier. Gribouillé sur un carnet et développeur du RPG le plus avancé de l'univers. Petit easter egg.
Your flashlight slides over an old green chalkboard covered in scribbles, sketches, and schemes, like some ancient cave mural. Some of the writing has faded with age, but you can still make out sections here and there. Photos and drawings have been pinned to the board.
Inspectez les photos.
The photo collage depicts barren, icy landscapes wrapped in perpetual night. You see permafrost and glacial landforms, dead trees grown in under the snow. Entire oceans have been frozen from shore to shore. There are pictures of settlements on dried up riverbeds, abandoned in a storm. Animal corpses in the dark. You see primitive oil rigs built into glaciers, boreal dvorg, yurts under the snow, great mammoth-like beasts of burden. Albeit dark and cold, this vision also feels cozy in its own way, like eggnog or morphine, a much-needed respite from our own world. A pinned postcard reads, "The heat-death scenario, a desperate fight for geothermal energy engulfs the world as Wirral becomes untethered from its sun, drifting through the universe."
Inspectez les dessins.
These lithe, pointy-eared creatures appear to be different types of welkins. You make out autumnal candle welkins casting wax-based magic. Translucent welkins with organs shining under their skin. And even ether welkins hailing from the
C'est des mecs qui bossaient sur un jeu vidéo, c'est ça?
space.
Sur un... Non, sur un jeu de rôle, je sais pas.
Who are all those creatures? Fantasies of a tortured, feverish mind? You should adopt one of those Wilkins as your persona. No longer a mere man, but a welkin. One of the welkins, towering among the rest, appears to be different, however.
Examinez le welkin, c'est important.
It's Vara Hamira, a high welkin, his face white and scarred like cracked marble. This is clearly a welkin supremacist. The note says all non-welkin races will be purged. The Haldor, the Twarg, the humans, and even headless men, all of them purged. Imagine a world filled only with welkin, green welkin, dread welkin, and the high welkin to rule them all.
An inordinate amount of time has gone into drawing these little welkin creatures.
Pourquoi passer autant de temps à les dessiner?
Some people really like building a world, I think, even if it's just for a game.
Qui sont ces créatures? Qui les a dessinées? Est-ce qu'elles sont réelles? Plusieurs questions me taraudent.
This looks like concept art for a project. It's not really real.
L'un d'eux est un welkin suprémaciste.
Political commentary. That one has a great beard too.
Qui m'a l'air d'admirer la barbe fournie du welkin. Eh ben c'était plutôt instructif, laissons les welkins de côté.
Just look at those details. So much effort.
And for what? All gone.
Inspectez le planning.
This is a monthly calendar from the year 50. Cryptic words like sprint, daily minimi, and GPI span the
C'est de la
market
programme,
grid,
c'est du
the
développement
grand
agile,
scheme of
méthode agile.
production and money. Minimi stands for a mini meeting. It's part of a bigger framework for managing work called RUN. Station 41 tried to implement it a few years ago.
Ça c'est vrai, le fait que les flics essayent d'utiliser les méthodes de management agile.
As time goes on, the numbers in the boxes grow rarer and rarer. The board becomes an empty snowfield in the final days. Only failure and regret dwell in this region.
Looks like they didn't make it.
A note in the bottom left corner of the chalkboard says, "See the prod schedule filament for details."
J'inspecte les notes.
The handwriting is only partly legible, but you can still make out 3 slogans: call in, tune out, Wirral untethered, and heat death of the universe.
Bon, la mémoire filamentale est là, mais je peux pas l'utiliser. Hein. Puis bon, c'est un easter egg, non? On tombe sur une société qui crée des jeux.
This appears to be some kind of machine with a cube-shaped heart
Ah non.
and a wired framework. The keyboard has a rectangular on-off button. A piece of paper still hangs from the printer.
A radio computer. Just sitting here without anyone inside. But we are looking for a fridge, and we are pressed for time.
Oui.
On the other hand, it's not that I'm not interested in abandoned radio computers.
Je tourne les talons. Et ça, c'est fait partie aussi du projet.
This old fireplace is covered in lines drawn in blue and red marker. The mesh spreading over the stone like blood vessels on alabaster skin. It looks ghostly and strangely ancient. The whole thing resembles Kadran mosaic tiles. Very pedantic.
Pas si vite. D'où je connais ça, moi, la mosaïque de Kedra?
History classes, students with their textbooks open, studying the roots of our civilization. Those aquarelle blue tiles looked beautiful in the sun.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
Radio frequencies, it seems. UKV 123.6, UKV 123.7, UKV 123.9. Some written notes, too. Sparse and cryptic.
Des fréquences radio, mais pourquoi faire?
Unclear. It looks like a cardiovascular system split into veins and capillaries. Very advanced.
Alors ça serait un truc médical tout ça?
You think so? The web is comprised of radio stations, all lead back to one red heart, titled the Game Master Frequency. A note says, this one can listen in on any station it wants.
Si c'est un jeu, qui est-ce qui joue?
Whoever decides to call in to a call-in station, it looks like. All of this is gone, left unrealized. There's no way a little basement studio working here could pull anything like this off.
My God, It's as if the less money they had, the more ambitious their project became.
Qu'est-ce qui vous fait dire ça?
The schedule. I know doom when I see it. The company was running out of funding.
Quoi d'autre?
Nothing. It's just lines on marble. An echo from times long gone. No one has used the fireplace in ages.
Ok. Ah. De la thune, du magnésium. Le frigo. Eh oui, c'est un ours polaire, effectivement.
You see a terrifying ice bear with a strange compartment in its belly. The door is covered in frost and the bear's eyes are glowing red. The bear looks oddly realistic. Is it taxidermy?
J'ouvre la
A
porte.
gust of freezing cold air rushes to greet you. You hear a low grumble as the bear regulates itself. This is the inside of a refrigerator. The lieutenant takes a peek inside. His hand has found the holster of his gun.
Regardez à l'intérieur du réfrigérateur.
The shelves are empty. All you see are crumpled ice cream wrappers with the brand name, Revachol Ice City. A handwritten note has been attached to the door. The fridge is huge.
Prendre le mot sur la porte.
You pocket the note and the little fridge magnets keeping it on the door.
J'examine un des emballages de glace à l'intérieur.
A friendly cartoon bear smiles back at you from a glossy cellophane wrapper. It looks nothing like the fridge.
Que fait ce frigo en forme d'ours au beau milieu d'une cave abandonnée?
Good question. It looks like an ice cream fridge.
Il comptait vendre des glaces avec cette bête terrifiante.
I know. What an unfortunate marketing choice.
En fait, c'est ça la malédiction, c'est juste qu'ils ont tous des business plans à la con.
What is even worse, the bear is still costing them money to this day.
Le lieutenant montre du doigt le câble rouge qui part du réfrigérateur en serpentant.
The fridge buzzes with energy. The electricity bill on this thing must be catastrophic.
C'est bien le bon frigo, pas de doute là-dessus. On dirait qu'il y a assez de place pour 2 cadavres.
It's certainly an eccentric choice, but it is capacious and cold enough too.
But the optics on this are awful, he thinks. We need to be as silent as we can. Your visual confirms you could fit 2 more bodies in the ice bear fridge.
Shall we go and get the body then? I'll take the head, you take the feet. The stairs won't be easy, but we'll manage.
Ça marche.
The body is heavier than you expected and stinkier. It takes half an hour to get it down to the basement, then 10 more minutes to stuff it into the fridge. The lieutenant takes a step back to admire your handiwork.
Beautiful. A dead body in an ice bear fridge. This is some of the best police work I've ever done.
You have created an ice bear sarcophagus.
Admirez le spectacle, on a créé un sarcophage en forme d'ours.
Talk of the ice bear sarcophagus must not leave this room.
Ouais, pas de quoi être fier, mais ce n'est pas une simple enquête policière, Kim, c'est de l'art. On a laissé libre cours à notre vision artistique.
If I were an artist, this would certainly not be my vision. I would be much, much more conservative in my work.
Ah, t'es chiant, Kim.
He's right. His work would be much more formal.
At least we've stopped the body from decomposing further. Now you can conduct another inspection under controlled circumstances.
Inside the icy realm of the ice bear fridge, the corpse stands slumped, waiting.
T'as un truc à m'apprendre, le pendu?
Shoot, Looney Rooney.
T'es bien dans le frigo?
I like it a lot, brother. This really is your finest hour. You're a genius, a regular Copperlangelo.
Ça suffit.
Come back later, Coppo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams.
Je tente de retirer les bottes du pendu.
I thought we decided to leave it to processing. Let's not turn this into some kind of circus.
Okay, so you can sneak out of your room maybe after he's gone asleep.
Ça reste un truc à 8% quoi. Je fouille le cadavre de fond en comble une dernière fois.
You touch the dead man's body. His skin is cold, light blue and silvery in the light of the fridge. You still have no idea where to begin, or what to even do with him.
It'll come to you sooner or later. At least he's safe here until then.
Ok.
Why does art inspire you so much?
C'est vrai que j'apprécie l'art, mais qu'est-ce que l'art justement?
Excellent question. Art is a diverse range of visual, literary, auditory, and performative creativity. It's an expression of imagination and technical skill. Additionally, it's history, criticism, and pure enjoyment. In short, art is the highest form of human communication, representation, narrative, emotion, and agency intertwined.
Mais est-ce que j'ai ma place dans le monde de l'art?
Have you looked in the mirror lately? You have the exact features of a savage art critic, with that beard and those clothes, disheveled and prophetic. Perhaps you should try to critique architecture too.
C'est vrai que j'ai l'esprit assez critique ces derniers temps.
Yes, you seek substance. No vapid representations and reproductions of social mores as made manifest in stuffy biennials. We're talking real, living art here. Become the art cop. Half art critic, half cop.
Une seconde, il vaudrait peut-être mieux être flic à 100% pour boucler mon enquête, tout ça.
Quit being so indecisive. What are you going for here? Some kind of indecisive and camp aesthetic now? Strike a bold shape here. Go art or go home.
Soit. Soit, si être critique d'art à 50% me permet de briser la routine, je suis partant.
Exactly. It's not only your duty to only catch the criminals off the street.
Je
You must
conceptualise ça.
also apprehend criminals of the printing press and the gallery, the trite and derivative artists and writers of the world. Go ahead and provide savage criticisms, art cop. The world is yours to rip to pieces and reassemble.
Ok, bon, on a le cadavre au frais, c'est ce qu'on était venu chercher. Mais il y a également cette histoire d'entité. Hein.
A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. Looks like this furnace has a face, and it's a face of agony.
Vous savez ce que c'est, Kim? Une sorte de chaudière?
Looks like it. Looks like an old central furnace used to heat the building. It's connected to the chimney.
Il ouvre la porte et jette un œil furtif.
No one has used it in ages. No signs of any recent fire. Only dead rats.
Regardez dans la chaudière.
It's dark and grimy here. In the darkness you can hear chatter. It's coming from above. A voice, or several voices, talking to each other. Near the smoke chamber.
What are you doing?
Vous demande le lieutenant en vous voyant grimper à l'intérieur de la chaudière. Je me trompe peut-être, mais je crois avoir entendu une voix à l'étage.
Wait, really? You should investigate. See if someone's upstairs.
Les voix que j'ai entendues, c'est peut-être... Non. Oui, on va monter par l'escalier. Hein. Le mur s'est écroulé, impossible d'y accéder. On va pas grimper par la chaudière. Une machine à glace décongelée et débranchée. La lampe électrique projette une ombre étrange. Il y a une porte secrète ici. Deux fusils rouillés sont dissimulés au-dessus de la canalisation. Ils ont l'air inutilisables. Quelqu'un a coincé des armes déglinguées sous le plafond.
A few bricks have fallen off, revealing compartment behind the wall. It's too dark to see in.
Où sommes-nous?
Seems like an old bunker from the revolutionary period. Look at all those rifles. Must be an old weapons cache.
Regardez, il y a un trou dans le mur.
There is, yes. And there also appears to be something inside the hole. Interesting. Do you want to take a look?
Ça marche.
Your hand reaches deep into darkness and spiderwebs. Rummaging around, you find rusty rifles hidden away.
Il y a des fusils, Kim.
Are these any good?
J'inspecte les fusils.
Most of them are rusty and inoperable, like the rest. But one catches your eye. A bolt-action model with a fine wood stock, in better cosmetic order than the others.
Celui-là est sympa.
That's a rare sight. Seems to no longer be functional, but still a beautiful thing in its own way.
Un fusil ici. Qu'est-ce que ça signifie?
It means there are firearms, albeit inoperable, still lying around in
Super.
Martinaise. It's an interesting coincidence, I would say. Might come in useful in the future.
He likes this find.
Il va falloir que je le fasse remettre en condition pour pouvoir l'utiliser aussi. Hein. J'ai une note manuscrit du
The
frigo, oui.
note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
Complètement oublié.
Does it say anything interesting?
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active. Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe.
La copie hors site.
You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care, Sully Soif.
Rappelez-moi déjà, c'est quoi une mémoire filamentaire?
It belongs inside a radio computer, storing its memory. It's like a tape. You listen to disco tapes, right? It's like one of your disco tapes, only for a computer.
Je me demande qui a écrit cette note.
Someone who owns a radio computer? My guess is as good as yours, officer.
Which is to say, not very good.
Avez-vous la moindre idée de l'endroit où pourrait se trouver cette machine à glace?
I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the
Ouais, bah
iceberg
c'est l'autre
fridge.
là. Qui est le jeune requin analphabète? Bah ça c'est Kuno.
Really? You don't have a single guess?
Vous voulez parler de Kuno?
Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on a filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter.
Ok. Et objet, le fusil antique Belmagrave. C'est vrai que je me balade dans cette poudrière sans aucune arme, alors tant mieux parce que comme ça je fous pas le bordel. Une machine à glace qui fonctionne encore. De la thune, le nose à Fed.
Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice bear fridge, and the black one to the ice cream maker nearby.
Je débranche le câble noir.
Something close to you dies with a soft electric purr.
Why did you do that?
Je ne sais pas pourquoi je l'ai débranché, je préfère agir à l'instinct.
The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything. The electric distribution board now has one cable missing.
Ok. Et je peux pas y accéder du coup à ça? Et si?
This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melting.
Je fais tourner la manivelle.
Turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. In the distance, you hear water dripping. It's all gone now. You'll never become a poet or an entrepreneur.
J'essaye d'ouvrir le couvercle.
You slip your fingers under the frozen lid, but the ice is too cold for you to get a
Heureusement que je l'ai pris.
A pry bar would come in handy here. If you want to try again, then you need to have the pry bar in your hand.
Ok. Le pied de biche.
This orange machine is dead still.
3%.
It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melted. The ice squeaks beneath the pry bar. You think you've got the bar jammed in there pretty well, but the lid simply won't budge.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
You see the pry bar's metal handle
Oh no.
bending, right?
Yeah, well, that's a good pry bar. I'm not criticizing it. But this ice cream maker is frozen shut. It takes an advanced tool to get it open.
Un outil de qualité supérieure, où est-ce qu'on va en trouver un?
I have no idea, officer. This ice cream maker isn't important enough to requisition a special tool.
Sooner or later, you will stumble upon a tool mighty enough. Then we will know what's in this mysterious ice cream maker.
Ok. Enlevons ce pied de biche et reprenons notre investigation. Débardeur filet complètement dingue. C'est pour remplacer ma chemise. Ma chemise elle fait quoi? +1 en conceptualisation, -1 en suggestion. Et ça c'est pour l'art dramatique. Ouais, mais ma conceptualisation elle est importante en vrai. Je l'utilise beaucoup. Les câbles de l'interphone sont branchés dans la boîte à fusibles. De la thune. Et ça c'est quoi? La fenêtre d'une cave. Vous apercevez les pieds des passants dans la rue. Donc là il y a un escalier. Il va falloir que j'aille aux toilettes rapidement, j'arrive. A tout de suite. Donc c'était une porte qui menait dehors. Mais nous n'avons pas fini l'exploration de ce bâtiment. Il y a encore ce qui se passe à l'étage qui était important là. Conversation. En espérant que j'entendais pas juste la vendeuse de bouquins. Alors ça j'ai pas fouillé. Ah si, ça c'est l'ordinateur. On va pouvoir fouiller puisque maintenant on a le temps. Non, on va déjà plutôt aller voir ce qu'il y a en haut. Là il y avait de la thune que j'avais pas pris. C'est un scandale. J'ai assez pour payer ma nuit de demain. Et presque assez pour payer la nuit d'après-demain. Est-ce qu'il vaudrait pas mieux que j'enlève ma lampe? Je vais faire un quick save. Une carte postale de la Delta année 51. C'est ça, hein. La Delta c'est là où il y a eu... où ils étaient en opération ou je sais pas quoi et où ils ont violé une nana. Ouais, je vois rien sans la lampe torche. Donc c'est bien la 3e mercenaire qui se trouve par ici. Les chaussures dans une flaque de neige fondue. Et ça c'est la porte.
An iron safety curtain curves before your eyes, folded like a bellows. It covers half the room, blocking the way into a colossal industrial chimney. This must be where the entity lives. This is directly above the central furnace in the cellar. The voices probably came from here.
Alors on va frapper.
What an odd thing to do. Nothing happens. Still nothing. No one's home.
Ah! Je me suis blessé.
Those curtains prove to be surprisingly sturdy. Your fist hurts now.
There must be another way to wake up whoever is in there. Maybe we can try yelling into the furnace downstairs.
Ok. J'ai réussi à me faire mal, putain. Ah, tout ce qui est physique, c'est vraiment pas pour mon personnage. D'ailleurs, il a qu'un point de vie hein, que je peux recharger. Ça, c'est ce que j'ai compris hier. Parce que sinon, je mourrais à chaque fois qu'on me faisait un dégât. Mais oui, le nombre de trucs au-dessus, là, c'est des trucs de soins. Alors, la chaudière.
Thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black.
Flanquer un coup de pied. Putain.
A hollow ring echoes through the furnace. Your toe hurts.
Crier, il y a quelqu'un. Pourquoi m'étaler du charbon sur mes mains?
A lush layer of coal now covers your skin, sinking into the wrinkles. Your hands look ancient. You feel the spirit of Ramut Karzai, ancient hero of Grad, pulsing through you. All that's left is to cover your face in war paint.
Adramut Kalsai se peinturerait la face de charbon.
3 dangerous stripes appear onto your cheeks, telling stories of your wild soul.
On part en vrille.
What are you doing?
Je suis la réincarnation d'un ancien guerrier ilmarien.
Please wipe your face clean, officer.
No, you're a proud warrior. Keep it.
Ne pas s'essuyer.
These 3 stripes give you strength in this dangerous realm. It would be foolish to remove them.
Je ne vais pas m'aventurer dans cette obscurité sans la protection de mes peintures de guerre.
And this protects you.
Elle me donne confiance en moi, c'est la seule chose qui compte, Kim.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Et voilà, ça a augmenté les chances. Les voix que j'ai entendues, c'est peut-être l'entité malveillante. D'après Plaisance, elle vit dans une cheminée.
You're right. The rooms do look like they're connected. But malignant entities don't exist. At least not the supernatural kind.
Always has to be the skeptic, this man.
Crier, il y a quelqu'un dans la chaudière.
Something
Oui.
breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths. The chatter of tiny voices above suddenly cease. Then,
Hello?
you've awakened the entity.
Bonjour, vous êtes là, parlez.
Hello? Did you say anything? I can't hear you. Please come upstairs. There's a safety curtain on the 2nd floor. I'll open it.
You hear a low rumble
J'ai
upstairs.
gagné.
The sound of a curtain being pulled aside.
After you, officer.
Eh bien, allons-y. Tout ça grâce aux peintures de guerre. Mes méthodes ésotériques semblent fonctionner. Virons cette lampe torche, hop. Ce tiroir est rempli de dés colorés en forme de polyèdre, il y en a des centaines. Le distributeur de bonbons a été reconverti et contient des milliers de dés.
Hello. I'm Nia.
Une femme aux allures d'oiseau est juchée sur un trône d'outils, une lumière vert émeraude scintillant à travers sa chevelure.
Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Melius.
Elle tapote le casque sur ses oreilles.
So what kind of die are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Vous devez vous tromper, j'ai pas frappé à votre fenêtre.
Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind?
Pas si vite. Qu'est-ce que vous entendez par sphère?
Yes, Amelie is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these.
Mhm. La troisième mercenaire, c'était l'opératrice radio, donc...
Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking.
Qu'est-ce que vous avez à me parler de dés?
I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
Non, il me fallait autre chose. Je veux des réponses.
Answers? How strange. These days people only come to me for dice and role-playing games. I'm not sure how helpful I'll be, but go ahead and ask.
Les murs de la pièce sont recouverts de pierres précieuses et de minéraux.
It almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room, growing out of the shelves like stalagmites. This person means you or no one else.
D'accord.
Absolutely no harm. She will answer freely and
Donc je me faisais des films.
no falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
J'aimerais savoir où nous nous trouvons. C'est quoi cet endroit?
We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know.
Elle observe les briques rougeâtres sur les murs. Bien qu'ils aient été restaurés, il y a encore ici et là des traces de suie.
But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse.
Creative.
Le lieutenant observe la pièce spacieuse qui l'entoure. Le plafond s'estompe dans les ombres dessus. J'ai entendu dire que cet endroit était maudit. Vous êtes au courant que les gens l'appellent la zone commerciale maudite?
I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true.
Plaisance m'envoie. Elle est convaincue que cet endroit bouillonne d'énergie négative.
Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energy spared her somehow?
En réalité, la librairie ne fonctionne pas si bien que ça. Les clients sont rares et elle est contrainte d'exploiter sa propre fille pour se maintenir à flot.
Oh, right. But it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in racks? Some people say it's part of the building complex.
Non, le whirling ne va pas très bien non plus. La serveuse vient de démissionner et les clients ont du mal à payer les factures.
And then there is me.
Elle soupire en observant sa table de travail en désordre. Elle contient divers outils éparpillés, couteaux de gravure, pinces coupantes.
I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energies. Strange, isn't it?
Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
Je suis le premier à reconnaître qu'il y a beaucoup d'incohérences dans cette histoire de malédiction.
I was just about to ask, what do you think? Do you think the curse is real?
Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest.
Je commence à me dire qu'il n'y a aucune malédiction, mais uniquement des mauvaises décisions et les aléas du marché.
Exactly. Truth is always so disappointingly mundane and boring. But I'm glad we got this sorted out. Anything else I can help you with today?
That's all she has to say on the subject. She's been thorough and truthful, as far as we can see. Plaisance is not going to like what you have to tell her.
Comment êtes-vous devenu fabricante de dés?
How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dyes out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there.
Est-ce que vous aimez les jeux de rôle?
Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers? They're nice people.
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items. She's thankful for the security they provide her.
Vous savez ce qui est arrivé aux autres propriétaires? Il n'y a plus personne.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
Il y avait un salon de coiffure ici avant, non?
Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here.
J'avoue.
Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word.
A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad.
Il n'y a pas de mal à essayer de nouvelles choses, la clientèle n'était pas très ouverte d'esprit.
I guess it just wasn't the time yet.
Qu'est-ce qui est arrivé à la salle de sport?
It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemitep's boxing club. A community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime.
C'est qui Armitrep?
A kind man from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym.
C'est
It's
l'histoire de
his way
Rocky,
of
ça.
giving back.
Peut-être que Kuno a besoin d'un club de boxe dans le quartier.
Kuno. Who's Kuno?
C'est un diablotin rouquin qui aime profaner les morts.
Oh yes, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth. Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid.
En jugé par l'attitude des gamins que j'ai croisés, ça n'a pas trop marché. Hein.
It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinaise even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines.
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since.
C'est quoi ces fenêtres cassées?
Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff milias. Who would have guessed?
What's the snuff milieu?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own.
Pas cool. Sinon, c'est quoi une sphère snuff?
It's a sub-Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that, as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world.
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators.
Il y avait un taxidermiste par ici. Il y avait tas de trophées de chasse dans tous les coins.
You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. Anything else?
J'ai vu des mannequins qui foutent les jetons.
There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came.
Les activistes pour les droits des insectes, c'est quoi ce délire?
The atelier produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection.
Mais les insectes n'ont ni cerveau ni sentiment.
Actually, insects do have brains, but yes, I understand what you're saying. I think the protesters took it a little too far.
As she shifts around, you notice several dead flies on the windowsill in front of her. Legs up, they're not moving.
Anything else?
C'est quoi ces skis et ces pales de rotor?
They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumotiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is.
Intéressant, que disent ces transmissions?
The usual, I imagine. That he's been thinking up all kinds of new business plans and can't wait to get started on them just as soon as he returns.
Men like that are a curse.
Sure, but Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I have no idea why those skis and blades are still lying around in the house. Not much use now, I guess.
They were just props. Why return them?
Je suis tombé sur une machine bizarre.
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio.
She liked them.
They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over Wiro.
That's understandable. Fantasies are serious things. The mind is the drawing board of history.
They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seem to be chronically liberal with their schedules.
Comment ça par-dessus la jambe? Que s'est-il passé?
The usual. They ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time.
Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé?
Well, I did hear them talking at times.
Elle jette un regard dans le hall comme si elle pouvait encore les entendre papoter de l'autre côté du rideau pendant la pause clope.
They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
C'était David Cage. D'après ce que j'en sais, le projet avait l'air quand même impressionnant.
Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic, and to show up to work on time.
Faut dire que c'est super dur de se pointer toujours à l'heure.
And so is producing something extraordinary.
Ses yeux parcourent les étagères remplies de prototypes 2D et de modèles abandonnés.
Something strains her face before she looks up again.
Anything else?
Il y a un ours empaillé flippant dans la cave.
Oh boy, the fabled Revershow ICT. You're in for a treat here.
Elle sourit et s'incline légèrement, les mains sur les genoux, à l'instar d'une comédienne s'apprêtant à réciter son texte.
The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas.
Indeed. What were the other ideas?
Et quelles étaient leurs autres idées?
There was really just one. And it involved taking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing.
Sounds like she really didn't like those girls. Fritte does the same thing.
En même temps, 20 cents de l'heure, c'est une paye de misère. C'est un miracle qu'elle se soit pointée au boulot.
Oh, but they did. They did show up to work, and not alone. There were also acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the ice cream stand. And they already had the bear.
Et l'ours alors?
The bear.
Répète-t-elle tout en pressant ses pouces contre ses tempes comme pour calmer une migraine. Ça n'a pas marché?
Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Eventually, Ravenshaw ICT lost the price war to its rival, Class A 5000. Class A 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents apiece, out of regular fridges.
Je suis sûr que l'ours s'est donné beaucoup de mal.
Maybe, because the taxidermist who made that bear definitely wasn't. Doing his best, I mean.
Pourquoi ça?
He said that the bear was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants, coded Megatherian.
Sounds cool.
C'est quoi une créature totem?
It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life by telling you to do more drugs, mostly.
The horrific necktie tightens around your neck, strangely excited. But it doesn't feel particularly fun this time around.
Les drogues, c'est pas mon truc.
Very good. You shouldn't do them. You're a police officer after all. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire.
Elle a presque l'air triste en terminant son histoire. Des particules de poussière dansent dans l'air. Elle les suit nonchalamment du regard.
Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps?
En fait, j'ai encore des
I've been
questions.
here for a long time. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else?
Bon. Qu'est-ce que vous savez à propos de l'homme retrouvé lynché derrière le Whirling in Rags?
Nothing really. I didn't know him.
The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window.
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening?
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window.
Le vacarme dehors?
Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be because of the strike.
She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire. She's not sorry to disappoint you. Informing on someone in a murder investigation would intrude upon her focused existence.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid.
Et vous ne détournez jamais les yeux de votre travail pour regarder par la fenêtre.
I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness.
It's light here, but dark in the yard at night.
It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone.
Est-ce que vous travaillez souvent le dimanche soir?
It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home.
Je vois, merci pour vos réponses. Ils ont mal traduit là. Elle a dit je préfère travailler plutôt que de juste être assise chez moi, pas je préfère travailler à la maison. Je vois, merci pour vos réponses.
She nods.
Anything else, officer?
Pourquoi est-ce qu'elle n'a pas mis la clé sous la porte?
You feel nothing. If anything, it's uncomfortably warm in here.
Se déshabiller pour entrer en communion, peut-être pas, non, s'arrêter.
She has begun to idly clean one of her carving tools with a dirty kerchief. The tool's sharp edge shining in the light of her desk lamp.
Au revoir. On va éviter d'être un peu trop borderline. Et de se péter la gueule dans l'obscurité aussi. Ok, bon. Finalement, ça ne nous a pas appris énormément de choses. Par contre, je peux aller rassurer Plaisance. Ah, on va aller utiliser l'ordinateur quand même. Pour voir la mémoire filamentaire là. C'est ici.
The dusty radio computer.
Je l'allume à votre
We
avis.
had one of these down at the station, but I never really learned how to use it.
J'allume la machine.
The machine lights up like some prehistoric animal stirring from its slumber, revealing fluorescent play and print keys on the keyboard. The hatch on the machine's central compartment is wide open.
J'appuie sur lecture.
Nothing happens.
Je regarde à l'intérieur du compartiment.
It's empty like a beehive without its brood. Some cables have been left dangling. Disconnect. The filament you have would fit perfectly inside the compartment.
J'insère le planning de production.
Like a smooth draw, the filament slides into place. On the keyboard, the play key starts blinking.
J'appuie de nouveau sur lecture.
A bar of fabric right above the keyboard starts producing a soft hum. The sound of static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. Have you stirred the ghost of the doomed commercial area from its rest?
Non.
Could this be its dismembered heart?
C'est de la technologie.
Flutter? The static gets louder, slowly filling up the abandoned hall, until a voice speaks out, crackling and old, cutting.
Good afternoon. Fortress accident en rue de Saint-Ghislaine. This is East Indian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the production schedule?
Vous êtes quoi, une machine ou une vraie personne?
Yes, I am alive. I am 74 years old and my name is Yvonne. Now please repeat. Is this the production schedule?
She repeats passwords. Programming people are all paranoid.
D'accord, mais vous êtes où et comment vous savez où je suis?
I work as a repeater at the East Indian Repeater Station. It's my job to know where you are, Fortress Accident. As for me, well, I am sitting in my cubicle, surrounded by a wall of radios.
Doesn't it get lonely, sitting there all by herself?
Vous vous sentez pas un peu seul dans votre boulot?
Lonely? Why would it get lonely? I get to talk to people all day.
That's why she does this.
Now please tell me the reason for your call, Fortress Accident.
Pourquoi vous m'appelez Fortress Accident?
Fortress Accident is the company on whose name the terminal you are currently using has been registered to.
Vous avez d'autres informations sur cette entreprise?
One moment.
Vous entendez tourner les pages de son catalogue, puis elle se met à lire d'une voix appliquée.
Fortress Accident SCA produces revolutionary interactive call-in radio games. That's what the catalog says.
That's not bad.
Et c'est quoi ces jeux radio interactifs là?
Any other questions?
C'est quoi le planning de production?
The filament you have inserted into the reader.
Ah d'accord, merci pour l'explication.
That was a question. Have you inserted it into the core?
Oui.
Good. Please repeat the password.
Password. Of course it would have a password. That's why there's a human administrator involved. You should ask her for a hint.
Un mot de passe? J'ai toujours été nul en mot de passe. Vous voulez pas me filer un indice?
No.
A hint system is not part of the protocol for repeater stations.
Ici la police, veuillez ouvrir cette chose.
I am contractually obliged to protect the privacy of the filament holder, Fortress Accident. Without filing a warrant with Lintel, I cannot give you access to this filament.
I'm afraid we are not doing that, unless we want to wait for a month.
Now, can you please repeat the password?
Ça serait pas mon anniversaire?
Still no.
Je ne connais pas le mot de passe.
Received. I will register this login attempt.
Don't worry. Passwords have a way of turning up sooner or later.
Fortress Accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
C'est tout pour le moment.
Thank you and goodbye.
La voix de la vieille dame disparaît avec le quasiment.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering, casting the framework in a soft glow. Fluorescent play and print keys shine on the keyboard.
On verra ça plus tard.
The filament slides out of its glowing nest.
Et si j'appuie sur impression?
Nothing happens.
Ok. Alors j'ai gagné un nouveau point et je vais en profiter pour obtenir mon diplôme d'art authentique. Conceptualiser ça. Diplôme d'art authentique. Pour être un flic arty. Allez, quittons cet endroit. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a, Kim?
Okay. What do you think is going on with that computer, chalkboard, and fireplace?
Ce n'est qu'une entreprise ayant fait faillite. La seule question est, mais que diable fabriquait-il?
Yes, that is the question. It looks like one of those popular pen and paper role-playing games, Only these people were trying to automate it, make it work on radio computers.
Utter madness, he thinks, as a compliment.
Et c'était un jeu de rôle?
Indeed, those Welkins are a dead giveaway. Role-playing people love that stuff. The world looks like a modified version of the We Were board game, with hit death thrown in.
Super cool. Someone should give them millions of real immediately. This game is too good to be left unfinished.
Comment prévoyait-il de le faire fonctionner?
Through call-in stations. None of the players have to be physically present. Anyone in the world can participate in the game, as long as they have a two-way radio. Then there's the game master frequency that listens in on the smaller call-in stations. I think that was supposed to coordinate the stories, functioning as a master of ceremonies of sorts.
C'était la première fois que quelqu'un faisait un truc du genre?
Not to my knowledge. They make automated games in Graz, Messina, Königstein. You know, places with industry.
Not in Revachol West, among the ruins.
But I don't think anyone has attempted to create an interinsulary game before. We just don't have the technology.
À votre avis, qu'est-il arrivé à cette entreprise?
No idea. They stopped filling out the schedule on the chalkboard.
Eh ben,
Indeed, it's ambitious and untethered from reality, but...
le monde est froid et solitaire. Ce jeu lui tiendrait compagnie. Finissons-le.
It's too late for that, I'm afraid. Okay, let's keep moving.
Puis en plus, on est des flics, on n'est pas des concepteurs de jeux. Donc au bout d'un moment... Ok. On va dire à Plaisance qu'on a réglé son histoire de malédiction. Et puis on va se faire une petite pause avant de faire une dernière VOD pour ce soir. Hop.
You're alive and well. Don't keep me waiting now. What's in there? In that dark sarcophagus?
Le sarcophage noir.
Yes, yes. How was it?
Tell her how ghastly it was. You know it's what she wants to hear.
C'était un charnier d'entreprise en faillite aspirant l'énergie vitale depuis sa librairie.
I knew it. Oh, such horrors that have been thrust upon us. But what else did you find? Did anything survive? No, of course not. Have you located the entity?
J'ai discuté avec l'entité dont vous m'avez parlé, elle s'appelle Néa et c'est une fabricante de dés fantasy.
A novelty dice maker? Well, spit it out. Why does she need the dice? For some kind of sorcery? Sometimes they use the ankle bones of sheep.
C'est ni une sorcière ni une entité malveillante, c'est une femme d'affaires comme vous.
I don't understand. If it's not her, then where is the source of the doom? How did she explain the curse?
The narrative she's built herself, it does need tearing down. Just don't say you don't have any answer yet. The uncertainty is killing her. To hell with it. Perchance you ought to just lie, sire.
Elle dit qu'il n'y avait aucune malédiction parce qu'il y a trop d'incohérences.
Too many inconsistencies. What kind of talk is that?
Good luck persuading her. Some people can rationalize anything.
Comme je le disais, c'est une fabricante de dés fantasy. Elle exerce cette activité avec succès depuis pas mal de temps maintenant.
Yes, because her business consists of the psychic leech that's been feeding the curse. I see that you've fallen for her manipulation, Detective. The investigation is over. I just hope that you haven't made anything worse by going in there. Thank you for nothing. Please do buy some books or be on your way.
Wow. Total psychic collapse between you two. Right
Super. Bah, je m'en fous en fait.
there. There was never any other way this could have gone. She's just too far gone into her own mind.
I am sorry we had to disappoint you, ma'am. Can we go now?
Je vous laisse, chère dealeuse de bouquins. Et ben voilà, une affaire rondement menée. Et ben au revoir YouTube.